I'm going to ask you all to do something right now, which is exactly what I just did when I was up here. So I want you to put down your phones, put down your pads, put down your computers. Okay, stand up. Now when I count to 3, all at the same time, I want to hear all of you together, no golf claps. 1, 2, 3. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You can sit down, or you can stand, I don't care. What I want to ask you, though, is what was the difference when I did that by myself and when all of us did that together? There was a completely different feeling that we had. All right. Good old Mike. There was something very different about how that made us feel. We felt inclusive and part of something. And it's a great feeling, and it's common sense. We can all make greater change when we do it together instead of when we do it by ourselves. And I was down at South by Southwest Eco earlier this year, and I watched a documentary, and afterwards they had a Q&A. And somebody asked the same question that was sitting right next to me that I had in my head to one of the panelists, and that was, what can I do to make a difference? And that panelist was very opinionated and very impassioned as a speaker and said, you're asking the wrong question. The question we need to ask is what we can do. And everybody in the audience was nodding their head in agreement. But in my head, I had to stop and think. Because about 5 years ago, I decided I was going to make a major career change. I grew up going to school, climbing the corporate ladder, always wanting to get the next job that paid more money. And when I made that change, it was this funny thing that happened because I was working in real estate, and I saw these kids on their phones during their breaks on the construction site that I was on, looking at these funny videos on Facebook. Now, this is before people my age could get on Facebook. It was before Twitter. And it just dawned on me when I started asking them, do you know this person that video came from? No. I got it from a friend. Did your friend know who that video came from? No. They got it from one of their friends. Ultimately, nobody knew where the original source of this video came from. But what it did for me at that moment was it made me understand the power of connection through this new technology that we had. And the way that we were going to be able to reach out and connect on a deeper level with more people. But this strange thing happened because at that point in time when I decided to make this change, I was by myself. I didn't have a following like I have now. I wasn't networked like I was now. I wasn't standing up on stages like this talking to people like you back then. I was by myself. And nobody was out there saying, Tim, I can help you. I can help you do something. Be part of what we're already experiencing. And I think that's the problem we have. I almost forgot I had slides. But that's the problem that we have, is we need to start letting people know in 2 different ways that when they're a me, they're really part of we. And I think the biggest thing that we look at, or that I think that we misunderstand, is most of us start looking at other people and our differences that we have, not the similarities that we have. And so what I encourage all of you, because I think all of you, from what I've heard, especially from the speakers and from some of the conversations I've had, we've gotten beyond the me place and we've gotten to the we place. We feel part of this community that we're here, right now. We feel part of the community that we are when we're at home, in our own life, in our own work. But I want you to stop and I want you to start listening to people maybe crying out or asking for some help, but they're not necessarily asking you. They might not be the same age as you. They might not be the same social status as you. They might not be from the same sides of the tracks as you. But really start to listen to what those people are asking for. And if you find a common bond there, reach out to them and offer your help. Use your eyes and see what people are talking about. See what is going on out in the world, and see who you can actually reach out to and offer help and bring them into your community. And if you're going to use your voice, let's use it in a positive way. Let's use it in a way that attracts people to us and lets them know that we care about them, instead of just broadcasting a message out to people. I have a very different take on communities versus networks. They're not the same thing. They're very different. And what I think we need to do is we need to look at this as a community. We need to look at other people and make them feel part of our community by the common interest that we have, by the emotional attachment that we have to that interest. It doesn't have to be transactional, and it does not have to be relationship-based, because a community lets people come in because of a common shared interest that we all have. But remember, when it's that we, that me person out there wanting to be the we, the network, he needs to know somebody to get there. The community, she is welcomed in. But you need to make sure that you're doing that. I think the other way that we can really help people move from me to we is by understanding what we felt like when we were in that starting spot. When I decided that I was going to quit my real estate job and venture off on this journey that I had no idea where it was leading me, it just had something to do with communication and digital technologies. And we need to help them understand that even though we're not on the same path as them, it's not a solo journey that they're taking, because you have taken a very similar journey yourself. And there are plenty of others of us that have taken that journey as well. It's not that you're alone. It's just that you're on a slightly different path, doing your own thing and following your own passion. I quickly learned, because I have hindsight, that the actions I was taking when I first made this change were little ripples that I was creating. But the ripple itself is not enough. What you need to do is create ripples that are consistent over time. And soon what you're going to do is you're going to start to ruffle those waters. And ultimately what you're going to end up with is a wave that crashes on the other side of the ocean. I've seen this happen for me. I've had people call me up from Europe because of something I've written years ago. I've had people come to me and tell me how impactful some of the blog posts I've written about and part of my journey and sharing what I've gone through has been for them. They never commented on the post. They never shared it on Twitter. They never friended me on Facebook or asked me to connect on LinkedIn. They were part of the 90% of people out there that are lurkers. But you're still making an impact on them. Your ripples are still having an impact that you are creating today. Remind people that are feeling like they're a me that they're not. They're affecting many people even if they're not hearing them. This is one of the things I think that I resonated with me the most as many people look at me as a leader now, is there's not much difference between a crazy person. If I was walking down the streets of New York, I'd probably look normal like this. But if I was walking down the street of Omaha, Nebraska, I'm guessing I would get some very weird looks. But when you have a whole bunch of people following you, no longer are you the crazy person, you're looked at as a leader. And so let the people know that are out there that being a leader isn't easy because you need to get those followers behind you. And I don't mean like you're above them. I just mean like you're together. You're in this. And so it's a very fine line between being crazy and being a leader. And I also think that another thing that I've heard that really resonated with me is leaders always have the arrows in their backs. And why is that? Because one group wishes they had your idea and wants to hold you back because they think it's their idea and you shouldn't be pursuing it. And the other group comes from a group that loves you and doesn't want to see you get hurt. So when you start out on these journeys as me, it's a very lonely place. But it doesn't have to be if those of us that have gone there can let others know this. I promised Lynn that I'd throw this in. I hate when people say, I can't wait to meet you IRL, when we're connected on social. And why is that? Because I've connected with so many people and I built my network through digital technology that if you tell me that we're meeting in real life here today, it diminishes the relationship that I built with you online. So my request of you is stop using IRL when you meet somebody online and then you're planning on meeting them in person. Say you were meeting them in person. Say you're meeting them face-to-face. But stop saying IRL because it diminishes the relationships that we're building online. If that doesn't hold true for you, get offline. Oh, I don't know what I did. Oh, maybe I didn't save the last 2 slides. Perfect. I think there's 2 other things that I want to leave you with today, talking about this whole me versus we. One is that, especially with social, we start to look at success just by the numbers people have and by the appearance that they put out there. What I want you to do is I want you to look a little bit deeper. I want you to look underneath that and see who the person is for the human being that they are and the impact that they're having on the world. And I want you to support them for that, not just because they can broadcast your message to 1 million people, but because of really the impact that they're having on the world. And finally, when I told you to start listening to people, I want you to listen empathetically. I want you to listen and understand and let them know you know where they're coming from. There is nothing that I have felt more connected with people than when I've made that empathetic connection with them. So what if each one of you leave here today and start remembering all the me's out there and making them feel like they're part of we? Thank you.